1935, the Lions win the NFL championship. The Detroit Tigers take the World Series. The Red Wings bring home Lord Stanley's Cup. Joe Louis begins his rise to world domination. This transforms the Motor City into Detroit, City of Champions.
The crack of the bat. We are off and running. Detroit City of Champions, the podcast. I'm Jamie Flanagan.
Charles Avison.
And, just running. I was running like crazy. Just ran into the studio. I had to put up our Fancy Pants backdrop and the Fancy Pants lights. And
that's how I usually am.
Create everything.
I'm usually the one running in here at the last second, and you're the one all set up and ready to go.
I was on about my friend DJs at a club, Smalls in Hamtramck. Cool rock and roll bar in the Metro Detroit area. If you haven't checked it out,
I feel like I've either heard it or many people have been there and told me how much of a great time they've had.
It is Cat. It's a bartender DJ. The birthday, so I stopped up there, and so I was screwing around, and then you're like, I'm on my way to the studio. I'm like, oh crap, well I better be too.
Well, it wouldn't. I mean, I'm usually like running like half hour, 45 minutes. Like, hey, I'll be there like 8:45 or something.
And then today you were on time.
Yeah,
and I was not.
First time in a long time, I suppose, but here we are. You're gonna wish Kat a happy. What's her name?
Kat.
Kat, you're gonna wish her a happy birthday.
I did. Happy birthday, Kat.
There we go.
I took her a little bumpy cake.
Happy birthday, Kat.
It was good. Little bumpy cake birthday.
That's cool.
Very, very Detroit thing.
Yeah,
bumpy cake.
I've heard that too.
Sanders. Yeah.
Is it okay? Did you have a candle and everything for it?
No. It's like a chocolate fudge cake.
Yeah.
And then there's like strips of like just thick cream, like a Twinkie filling.
So it's like a specific type. I guess I'm not familiar with it.
And so there's the white cream, but then it's and then the black the chocolate icing over it, right? And so it's like there's this row of the white filling.
Damn.
And then the chocolate over it, so it's bumpy over the bumps. So it's bumpy cake. Sanders. So if you're not from the Metro Detroit area, Detroit, we were on Good Morning America this week. Detroit was. They were shooting from the Detroit Riverwalk. They were shooting some from pizza places. They're all excited about Detroit because there was some poll and put Detroit number 1 for a pizza city. We beat out Chicago. Chicago has been the pizza champion forever. Who was a pizza champion in 1935?
That I couldn't tell you.
Was there a pizza champion?
Well, I'm sure there was. There's a champion for everything else.
Everything else, yeah. But so we beat out Chicago. Chicago's been running along, but Detroit was like number 1 at pizza. So they were like filming from pizza. So not
who
just
made that? How they decide that?
No bloody idea.
Well,
yeah,
is there some kind of like is there some kind of a committee or something?
TripAdvisor reviews probably. Well, it's sponsored by somebody, probably.
Is there any Chicago representatives that are upset about it or anything?
I'm sure they were upset. I'm sure they had like the one weather guy was probably in Chicago. You know how they always give him the worst assignments.
Yeah.
So he's got to be in Chicago telling the Chicago people that they lost.
Yeah.
Hey, you got beat up by Detroit. How does that make you feel? What? And they start beating up the weather reporter.
Well, I remember it was a few years
ago. Either the hurricane, buddy, or getting beat up in Chicago. That's your choice.
Yeah.
You either get the in the middle of the sandstorm, or you get to go in the tornado. That's the weatherman's choice. The beat on the street.
Well, I remember a few years ago it was Minnesota that they were trying to claim like they were some. I mean, it was some governmental agency was trying to say that was it Wisconsin or Minnesota? It's got the little skinny thumb.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
It's Wisconsin. Yeah.
And they were trying to say that they're the mitten state or something.
The other mitten, yeah.
It's the other mitten, and it's gonna have like a little skinny finger. And they're trying to claim that they're like, yeah, we're the Michigan, and it was there was nobody offering a rebuttal because it was so ridiculous.
You
on
are
its face.
The idiot mitten. Is what you are.
Yeah,
you're the string attached to the one that got caught in the bicycle spokes.
Yeah, that's the one. It's all mangled. They're like, we are the mitten state, or I'm like, I would drop that. Like, you can see our mitten from space.
Yeah,
you can see our mitten from another galaxy.
But Detroit City of Champions, the podcast. Speaking of sponsors, wearingfunny.com is out there for people and get the cool City of Champions gear. If you're watching the video, I got the City of Champions shirt.
I don't think I've seen that one. Is that a new shirt
from Wearing Funny? No, I got them all at the same time.
Okay, it's like got that olive green look to it.
It's
kind of sweet.
Gray. It's and the lights here. But wearingfunny.com, And then at all of our places, like, subscribe, leave a comment, do that for us. Go on in.
We're slowly building, and we need
we appreciate,
we appreciate every like, every thumbs up, every comment. We we
We're
obsess over every single.
We read
one
a
of
few
them.
last time, and I haven't seen anything.
We really every
fresh,
single
but
little thing helps us. Every every one person that subscribes, every like, every comment, it helps us. Like
it adds to. It's like the computer is this crazy pyramid almost.
Well, they have the algorithm.
Like the algorithm.
Well, once the algorithm recognizes that they have some kind of a little bit of engagement and a little bit of attraction with some followers, then they start to promote us, and then we start to really rock it up.
Yeah,
we can start bringing out this. I mean, we were talking about it last week about how, like, this story doesn't belong to me and Jamie. It doesn't belong to me.
No,
we're all part of this. Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like like what people say, well, what can I do to help? Well, what you can do to help is thumbs up, any type of engagement whatsoever.
Make a little comment.
We really appreciate every single thing. So
had fun, and it would do. But we're saying the champion pizza, that Sanders Bumpy Cake, another Detroit champion. It is known. Werner's
Stroh's,
another very Detroit champion. Stroh's is made in Milwaukee now.
Now it is, but it's still Detroit like legacy. I mean,
I'm really hoping we can get some Stroh's Bohemian, because that Brew Detroit, there's an independent brewer in Detroit called Brew Detroit, and they were doing the Bohemian for a little while.
Yeah, I remember
they stopped doing it. They did it as a comeback special. And it was around for about a year and a half, and now it's gone again. It's like, I
still think that Kid Rock missed the biggest opportunity, like that he could
to get on the Stroh's bandwagon.
Instead of starting that badass beer, he should have started. He should have bought Stroh's back, and at least for the logo, the brand. Imagine how. I mean, if he would have bought that Stroh's, the brand alone, like Kid Rock bringing back Stroh's would have been the biggest thing around.
That or Lowenbrow.
Was that
remember Lowenbrow?
Yeah, no. But was that a Detroit thing?
No. Just Stroh's had Stroh's signature.
So what's Lowenbrow?
I don't know, just another beer that's gone.
I remember that back in the 90s.
I know.
I remember that was the beer I was like, it looked kind of cool, but there was always another beer I just chose cheaper instead.
Yeah, Lowenbrow on the pricey end of things.
Yeah, there was always like, there's Lowenbrow, and then I'm like, but hold on a second, there's a beer that looks similar right
Natty
next to
Ice
it.
Light is
or like
30 cans for $5,
like Red Dog or something like this, like $30, like $15 or something. You're like,
I'm gonna pick up those Mickey Widemouth.
The 40s and that,
right?
Or the grenades. They had the Mickey's grenades at one point. You're like, man, I can drink those, because I used to drink the 40s for the longest. That was my 40 of choice. And then once they came out with the grenades, I'm like, man, now I can drink kind of classy because they got Mickey's in the can.
That's my 40 of choice.
And then I was like, now I can drink the Mickey's in a
class
can.
in this joint up.
Yeah, like you can drink it in a can now.
But we're wandering around. But the champions, right? And so Werner's, we did on the Man Cave Happy Hour, one of the other podcasts here. We did a whole thing about Werner's and the history of Werner's. That's fun.
Awesome.
So if you're interested about other really cool Detroit stuff, just send us an email. We'll tell you about more cool Detroit stuff. And today we're moving on with yet another story, another champion in the galaxy of 33 champions.
Yeah, by my count, we're going to be doing 3 today. We're going to be doing
we should make it 33 and a third, so it's like a record.
Well,
so
we
like
got
Motown
a 30
records.
Well, we got a 34th with
right?
Chris. We're going to bring Chris on it.
So it's only a
34th.
Well, it was like pigeon racing though, right?
No, his is a legit one.
What was it? Oh, pigeon racing.
There was other ones. Yeah, well, we'll read an article at some point.
So the pigeon racing. Let's make that 33, and since the bird is small, it's a third.
Well, it'll be 34 and a third.
30,
like I said,
33 and a third,
Chris
like a record.
Well, Chris found another one.
Motown record angle here.
What? Well, why can't it be 34?
Work with the
why
group,
can't it be 34?
That's not a record. That's not a record.
Well,
that's not 33 and a third.
We'll find another championship story that's got 33.
All right, anyway. But so,
or we can do.
I thought the pigeon one was.
Or we can add the 33 and a third, and then bring out Chris the episode after, be 34, and then so you can get your that 33 and a third moment in the sun, and then jump to 34 and a third.
There we are. But the pigeon one that wasn't.
They've mentioned it in there. That was a legit article. He was like, the article. I forgot. I forgot which page it's on. But
you didn't tally it, and they don't really count.
And he didn't either. They didn't either. But they were joking. They were saying there's so many people. Because what they were talking
putting
about,
things in.
They were talking about the Champions Day
because it was a whole plaque and.
Well, Champions Day was on its way. Was about to be held, and they were writing articles about it. Talking and he said, I forgot. I think it was Bob Murphy, and he was saying
inundated with
Well, yeah, all these people were calling in. They wanted invites to the party because they wanted to be at the champions table.
Hell yeah.
And they were all talking about like, oh, I'm a champion of this, and I was or my friend's a champion of that. And so they was mentioning a bunch of the different things, all like the kind of gimmicky ones. He's like, my friend, one guy said he's got this world champion like carrier, homing pigeon or whatever, and there's all these different ones. And he was like, we would like to get these other ones in, but we weren't able to fit them all in.
Right.
So
I was trying to find, because I was going through like the Oscars. The Grammys weren't a thing yet in 35. But I was going through the Oscars and like other music awards and things to try to find like a Detroit connection, to try to find another one like in the movie or music. I was actually looking for a music one, and I was coming up empty. And so then I went to movies, and I wasn't really getting any, the costume designer Oscar went to somebody. I couldn't. I was like searching. I was like hunting and pecking.
Yeah.
I didn't do a complete search.
It
was more of a cursory search. But I wasn't coming up with anything. I was kind of hoping I could find one, because I wanted to do. Oh, look, Charles, I did some homework and I found something.
If you look, I don't have it with me, but the second book. Do we have the second book here? Yeah, we do. Hold on, let me see. Let me grab the second book, because hold on a second. I'll tell you.
I brought the books in, and they're here in the Podcast Your Voice studios, sharing it with the other shows. There's a Podcast Your Voice. We record here, studios. I coach people launching podcasts, and so I kind of show off and talk about my thing, and they're like, really? I go, yeah, there's 3 books. It's the size of a damn phone book. And they're like, really? So I brought it in to show some of the other shows what we're basing this podcast off of.
So I've got a timeline of world events, and there's some serious, it's not, I guess not Detroit related, but here's a couple things from 35. I mean, 34 was massive. You've got Shirley Temple's first movie. You've got the first 3 Stooges short. You've got Prohibition ends on January 1st, 1934. You've got some major things in 34, but 35 specifically, you got a couple of big deals, and not necessarily Detroit specific connections, but some big deals. You've got the board game Monopoly is first introduced by Parker Brothers in Salem, Massachusetts. So I've got a list of it for major world events in 35.
Screw you, Boardwalk and Park Place. Screw you.
So those are always my favorite targets. Those are my obsessions in that game. That's the first one to get those. I got to get those too. The Richter scale for measuring intensity of earthquakes is devised. Nylon is developed by DuPont.
That came from aliens.
Polyethylene, the first plastic, is developed by Alkali Division of Britain's Imperial Chemical Industries.
That came from aliens.
You've got radio was pioneered by Scottish physicist Robert Alexander Watson.
Definitely aliens.
The Toyota motor car is introduced. Beer cans beer in cans is introduced for the first time by Kruger Brewing of Newton, New Jersey.
Into Prohibition, way to distribute beer. Okay.
The first hot meals to be served in the air are served on Pan American Airways Clipper flights. Yeah, there's
got to feed those aliens.
Yeah, there's all. Dude, the aliens thing isn't even that big of a deal, really.
Well, that's our next podcast. I don't know if people are like, "What are you guys going to do after City of Champions?" We're going to do how aliens have influenced our everyday culture, and the innovations that have come from aliens to us. I'm just making that up.
No, but if aliens
is probably
if they came out tomorrow and said aliens are real or whatever, people would be like, yeah, all right, we already kind of knew that. So what's
and the theory is right. The foil hat theory is, Area 51 or section whatever Area 51 in the Roswell, the recovered aliens and the recovered spacecraft. Right around that time, the advances in technology were astounding.
Yeah.
And so they're saying, it's like all this alien technology that the government had that they parceled out to, corporations to, back engineer.
Yeah. But the thing about, I don't know, the technology though is already growing. Cause like during World War II, when they were using those when Hitler was using those
Hitler was an alien.
V2. Well, there was a V2 bomb, the V2 missiles, and then they brought the scientists over to the U.S. and they started developing the Nazis even had jets.
Yeah,
they had a few jets at the very end of the war. They were already using jet aircraft. So it was like once the war ended, they actually had the time to actually, it was an arms race with the Russians. So I don't know if the alien technology, like
I'm just
what I'm saying is that if you look into like Bob Lazar and them in the 80s, he came out saying that they had not reverse engineered the alien tech that they had, which was based on like anti-gravity. So they still up to the 80s. And so, but one of the questions that I heard somebody talk about the other day, I thought was a good one was, if the aliens are super advanced or whatever,
yeah.
how is it that they're just crashing into the Earth all over the place? They're like, well, we just came from across the universe and we forgot how to land.
Somebody playing Icy Closies.
Yeah, like they're crashing in and then they're like getting captured by humans. Like we're like monkeys to them, basically. Yeah. They're like, I don't know, like it was a good point. I was like, they're like
earthworms to them.
Yeah, they're like they're not going to be recovered by earthworms. You know? They're so. I think they are here, but I think that they are basically been keeping, like, I think that they need this Earth for something or other. And that that they are basically like keeping a distant eye on us and like making sure we don't screw it up.
I would like to launch a podcast where there's a couple people who totally believe that.
I believe it. And then, you got one of them right here.
And then I just kind of listen to their story.
I've got there's all kinds of stuff, man. They have there's.
Have you ever felt like you were in space?
No.
Have you ever been underwater?
I don't think so. Well, underwater in general, yeah.
Don't you feel like you're in space, traveling floating weightlessly?
No. Do you?
Yeah. I always pretend I'm a spaceman when I'm underwater.
Oh no, I don't really do that. No.
So I wonder if our people today.
Oh, you're trying to pivot.
I'm trying to segue.
You're trying to segue
into the water sports.
I missed it.
That was today.
That was my cue. We were trying to merge into the show.
I was. I really
and
was.
I flew past. I'm like, no. What are you talking about? I thought we were going to talk. We were going to skip talking about all this today and talk about aliens and controversies and stuff. Oh well.
I got to Google some.
We'll save that for
Roswell innovations. But yeah, no, we were talking about and a buddy of mine just did a big party on Sunday, just 3 days at the Detroit Athletic Club, that down at the D.A.C. My buddy just did a big event down at the D.A.C. It was D.A.C. Family Fun Day. It was a very Hawaiian theme, ironically enough. I don't know, tragically enough. But yeah, so it was a lot of surf music, a lot of Hawaiian music. Down at the D.A.C. and this
is a beautiful spot. I mean, you can actually look
Swim
down into the Comerica Park from if anybody out there listening hasn't been to the D.A.C.
If you're
from their upper level,
area,
from their upper level of the building, you can actually look down into Comerica. If you have a pair of binoculars, you can like literally watch every game from the roof of the D.A.C. It's really cool.
Podcast name dropping. It's Zim's Vodka had Behind the Bar with Zim's, a podcast we helped produce for a little while, and the guys from Zim's Vodka, they're members there at the D.A.C.
All right.
And they've invited us down a couple of times, and it's a cool spot
D.A.C.
to hang,
is super
man.
Cool. Yeah.
I've DJ weddings in there a handful of times too. It's a nice place, but this is the swim team.
Yeah,
from
that's
1935.
That's why you're mentioning this, because it's the
underwater spaceman.
It's the D.A.C.
Right.
swim team, and I wonder why. I still don't remember why I did it, but it almost seems like the swimmers should be right after Dick Degener in the book.
Yeah.
I think it's because what I did was Dick Degener comes at a point where he's one of the major champions to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to put like him. And then there's like, I mean, these guys only got like 3 pages.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to, 3 pages. So I didn't want to, I felt like they would have got lost, I think, with him, because he's got a bunch of diving pictures and stuff that these guys would have maybe blended in.
Sure.
I think that's why I did it. So that's why it seems like
Dick really deserves to be showcased.
Absolutely.
He's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so here we are. So we're a few champions in. So this is, by my count, we're at champion number 26, and we're going through champion number 28. And so what we've got is we've got 2 individuals, Jimmy Gilhula and Tom Haynie, and then we have the Detroit Athletic Club swim team, in which both of them were on. They were both part of this swim team. And so this, like, these guys. The first picture we have to show is I mean, really one of the coolest ones. It's an example of the kind of photos I use in the book, and this was an absolute treasure to find. And
Jimmy, Tom, or the team?
No, the swimming pool photo.
Oh, the club itself.
Yeah, the boat club. So this is the Detroit Boat Club.
Yes.
And this is a photo from like this, everything really their main claim to their championships in 35 came at this exact event. Like this is a photo from the 1935 Detroit Times AAU championship, national AAU meet for swimming. And so you had diving, swimming, everything. And this is at the Detroit Boat Club. And you can see if the picture, if you look closely in the picture, you can see sailboats in the background.
Yeah,
I mean, this is
yeah.
like in the middle of this is in the river right here.
Yeah.
And so it's just super cool. And you got the crowd here. You got what's amazing about this photo is, I mean, this is taken off a microfilm. Yeah. And I thought this photo has a ton of detail.
Is this men's or women's?
I think it's everything.
Okay.
I don't have a specific list in there. I think it's everything.
Uh-huh.
But there's not a ton of if somebody there's probably more information online. I didn't dig that far deep into it prior to today. But anyways, like I was looking up a few things online and I grabbed a couple pictures, but I didn't see if you dive into it a little bit, I bet you can find a New York Times article or something on it. But anyways, it's just this photo alone, I just can't believe how well it turned out. I mean, again, this is off of a grainy old microfilm, and the detail that I was able to really extract and clean up, and this photo is one of my pride and joys, because usually the good thing about microfilm photos is you have access to any photo basically ever used in a newspaper. The downside of using them is that their quality is horrific.
Right.
I mean, they're terrible. So you have to clean them up a lot of times. And this photo was one of my pride and joys as far as it's, for use in a book. So anyways, so that's where the action really is set. And I'll just read the article, because it kind of gives a nice little summary of the event itself. So this article is from Edgar Hayes in the Detroit Times. It comes out July 8th, 1935. And so the article says the greatest swim meet ever held came to an end last night with more record-breaking performances and more new champions crowned. The Detroit Times National AAU Senior Men's Swimming and Diving Championships had more surprises and more hotly contested races than any meet in the history of the sport. Okay, I want to read that again, okay, with a little bit more dramatic emphasis.
All right,
okay?
All right.
Because
slow it down.
And the reason is because notice the name of the swim meet. The Detroit Times National AAU Senior Men's Swimming and Diving Championships. Okay, so this is in the article is written by Edgar Hayes of the Detroit Times.
Is it AAUU?
Yeah, AAU.
AAU.
Yeah.
What is it again? Detroit Times.
Amateur Athletic. What is it? AAU. It's Amateur Athletic.
Okay.
Something or other.
What Detroit Times Amateur Athletic? What?
So the full name of the meet was the Detroit Times National AAU Senior Men's Swimming and Diving Championships. But what's interesting to note is the guy writing the article is Edgar Hayes from the Detroit Times, right? So that's why I want to stop for a second and go back and read it with a little bit more dramatic emphasis, because it's his newspaper that's sponsoring this event.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I want to go back with that in mind. Once again, let's begin again, okay? The greatest swim meet ever held came to an end last night with more record-breaking performances and more new champions crowned. The Detroit Times National AAU Senior Men's Swimming and Diving Championships had more surprises and more hotly contested races than any meet in the history of the sport. Like, just talk about some hype, man.
Yeah.
Only 4 of the 12 defending champions will hold their titles for another year. The champions who defended their titles successfully are Dick Degener of the Detroit Athletic Club in the springboard diving, Jimmy Gilhula in the 220-yard freestyle, Johnny Higgins in the 220-yard breaststroke, and the Lakes Shore Athletic Club in the medley relay. The Detroit Athletic Club team won the Detroit Times Trophy for team championship with a total of 45 points, one of the highest totals ever amassed. All right, so okay, and then so attaching onto this is where they mentioned Tom Haynie, and so this is another Detroit Times article. This was just a week after. This is Detroit Times, April 17th, 1936. I don't have the author. It looks like it was just sort of a general report issued. So this is heading into Champions Day. Keep in mind, because Champions is this isn't a few weeks after. I'm sorry. The first article was July 8th, 1935. This is April 17th, 1936. So this is they're heading into Champions Day, which is the very next day. So here it is. Here it is. Still, Detroit's list of champions continues. In swimming, there's James Gilhula, National AAU 220-yard freestyle champion. Gilhula last summer at the Detroit Times meet at the Boat Club gave the D.A.C. the national 800-meter relay championship and the national title by his great sprint, swimming the anchor leg. In 1931, Gilhula won city prep titles at 220 and 100 yards, setting new interscholastic national records. He then entered Southern California, member of the 1932 Olympic team. Went to Japan in 1931 as a member of the American team. And here's something. Gilhula's swimming style, as taught him by Clarence Pinkston, impressed the Japanese. They took thousands of feet of film. The next year at Los Angeles, i.e. the 1932 Olympics, we heard much of the Japanese stroke, which was nothing more than the stroke used by Gilhula the summer before. He won the National Outdoor 100-yard freestyle in 1933 and the National Outdoor 220-yard freestyle in 34, 35, and 36. And so Albert Root, a Miami boy, likes the championship atmosphere Detroit affords. He came here for the Detroit Times Outdoor Swimming Championships last summer. He's been here since. He now carries the colors of the D.A.C. Root won the National AAU lowboard diving title in 35 and was favored to repeat this winter, but was forced to withdraw due to an injured back. However, he is almost a certain bet to carry Detroit's colors into the Olympic Games in Berlin this summer. Tom Haynie, a Detroit boy now attending the University of Michigan, is the national junior 300-yard medley champion, an event which combines backstroke, breaststroke, and crawl. Haynie is regarded as a bright prospect to make the Olympic team at both 200-meter and 400-meter distances. So he is the national medley champion. That's what Tom Haynie ranked in 35. I thought he was at that event, but I guess he did some other things. Anyway, so those are the guys, and I guess you could kind of make a case for this Albert Root, because it says Albert Root, a Miami boy, likes the championship atmosphere Detroit affords. He came here for the Detroit Times swimming championships last summer. He's been here ever since. He now carries the colors of the D.A.C. And it says Root won the National AAU lowboard diving title in 35. So that's like basically a 34 champion right there. It was forced to repeat this winter, but was forced to withdraw to an injured back. So you could almost, he carried the championship all the way through 35 in the lowboard championships. That's almost at the very least, makes it's an exclamation point on just calling 3 championships,
Yeah.
Detroiters are well represented in the pool and the diving board.
Mm-hmm.
We got the high board with Dick Degener, the low board with Albert Root. You got swimmers on Tom Haynie and Albert and Jimmy Gilhula winning individuals and the relay, the relays. And another thing, I have a couple notes here on Tom Haynie, because Tom Haynie was like, after this, we got a photo of him. Yeah.
There's Tom.
Yeah. So there's a good photo of him on the left wearing the U of M
nice
swim, whatever that is, shirt. And then the picture on the right is actually from the Detroit Times, from the Champions Day newspaper.
He looks like a baby in that.
Yeah, totally. So the newspaper photo that's straight out of the Detroit Times Champions Day newspaper.
Yeah.
So he made the Champions Day newspaper.
Okay.
And if you show the other picture with Jimmy Gilhula, he's got a picture that there's a couple there's a black and white photo. There's another newspaper photo on the bottom left. That was a microfilm image. But then the top photo is a rotogravure from the City of Champions newspaper. Mm-hmm. So Jimmy Gilhula was on the City of Champions paper, and then Tom Haynie was in the Champions Day paper. Okay. So both of them, they both were, they both had they got their photos in the main papers, the 2 key newspapers of the time. So those papers themselves were recognizing them for that. So anyway, so here's another little blurb on Jimmy Gilhula.
Yeah.
So this is from Detroit Times on the same day. This is the first article we read with the July 8th, 1935. Jimmy Gilhula came from behind to win the 220-yard freestyle title, which he was defending. Johnny McConis of Yale, now swimming for the Big Brothers Club of Philadelphia, took the lead at the start. He's talking about this swim meet again. So it says, so he came from behind to win the 220. And then it says, so Johnny McConis of Yale, now swimming for the Big Brothers Club of Philadelphia, took the lead at the start and held it for half the distance. The swimmers were even at the 3/4 mark, but on the last lap, the Detroit boy pulled away and won by a half length.
Ooh.
So there's some serious swimming going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom Haynie, here's a couple just like notes I took, because Tom Haynie is like I saw this article on him, and it was this, what was the name of the group? It was the CSCAA, which is the College Swimming and Diving Coaches Association.
All right.
They ranked Tom Haynie in the top 100 greatest swimmers and divers in college history.
Oh,
he's one of the top 100. And that article was put out in 2021. So you would think that, he died in I think it was the 50s,
right,
or something like that. Maybe the early 60s. But for them to remember a guy that was swimming back in 1935, he had to have some serious contributions, and here they are. So NCAA titles at U of M in the 220 and the 440-yard freestyle in 1937 and 39. And then he was part of the NCAA champion 400-yard relay teams at U of M, which won 3 straight national championships from 1937 to 39. He was a 3-time All-American at U of M. So he has this incredible, U of M swimming career. And then he goes to Stanford to become their swimming coach. He's the second swimming coach ever in their history at Stanford. And when he goes there, he coaches 11 conference titles during his 14-year tenure. So the Stanford wins 11 conference titles out of his 14 years as their coach. And he's elected to the Stanford Hall of Fame and is in the aforementioned top 100 greatest swimmers and divers. But I didn't see any mention that he was put in the U of M. In the U of M, how can he be one of in the article that was hyping him? Was
rocking the jersey there.
Yeah, but the article that was hyping him it said like top 100 greatest swimmers, of the year of all time, was actually on a U of M website.
Right.
So like somebody put it out there. I can't believe that the first question they asked was, "Hey, what's this guy? Is he in the U of M Hall of Fame, Swimming and Diving Hall of Fame?" And they're like, because if he's not, he kind of should be.
Do they have a Hall of Fame, or they
should.
Hall of
Fame?
They
have a Hall of Fame, but I don't know if they have a Hall of Fame for I didn't see any reference, because the thing is, U of M was writing the article that was mentioning that he had been on the list, and all they mentioned in the article is that he was a part of the Stanford Hall of Fame. You see, they would have said, "Oh, he's also he's a U of M Hall of Famer and Stanford. He's our guy." He's our Hall of Fame first. But they didn't mention it. They just pointed to his coaching career. But if he's ranked as one of the top 100 greatest college swimmers ever, well, you would think that U of M would be like, "Whoa, hold on a second, before this article hits the press, let's get a quick platform up on our wall."
The blurb is just super short.
So you would have thought that they would have like kind of ran off and been like, "Oh, hold on a second, let's make a couple tweaks here real quick and get this guy in the U of M Swimming Hall of Fame,
or get him in there, or start one for him."
Well, I'm pretty sure there's got to be a swimming Hall of Fame. It wasn't Michael Phelps from U of M?
I don't know.
The swimmer? Yeah, I think so. I think he's almost guaranteed in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, but anyways, so you got these two guys. You got the Detroit swim team. You got Dick Degener. I mean, Detroit's very well represented in swimming. And so you can, you just keep going down the list where we mentioned every one of these sports. And like, even if you got the 3 major titles, you got somebody that's going to beat Joe Louis. You got somebody that's going to, have a better boat than Garwood. You're going to go down the list, better golfer than Walter Hagen. You keep going all the way down the list. And then you're like, okay, we've matched every one of these titles, title for title. Now what you got? And you're like, okay, we've got a high board, a low board. We got 2 individual swimmers and a swim team.
Yeah. And so there's the team. What do we got in this picture here?
I don't know all their names, but Gilhula and Haynie are both in the picture.
Okay.
Haynie, I believe, is from second from left.
Okay.
And that's also that picture is also on the City of Champions newspaper. So that's one of the main shots. Yeah. But they're both on there. I believe Gilhula is all the way to the right, and then Haynie is second from left in that picture. But
Tom Haynie lived until 2010.
Oh, really? Okay, I was wrong. Yeah.
So he passed away in 2010. He was in St. Louis Obispo at
2010. I was putting books. I didn't know he was because he would have been the only known person from this story still alive when I was first doing this book in 2007, 2008.
So June 19, 2010.
Dang.
Just cut me off. The Tribune say I have to subscribe to continue reading. But it was passed away in 2010 there.
So he would have been, I think, to my knowledge, he'd been the oldest person from the City of Champions still alive.
What was he here? 2 when he was
he's young
he's
fella.
A baby. Just
total baby, man.
Just a baby. All right, so I got something. Let me show you something. So this is from 1935. It's the Mermaid Champs. Set national records in national swim meet, but this swim meet was in the Oriental Pool in Manhattan Beach. I thought it was the Detroit one at first. I was looking, I was like, oh my God, where did this take place? But this is the women's swim. But just to give you a feel of the look of it and how people got into these sports.
You got big time.
It's like, who goes to a swim meet now? There's not.
No, but the thing is, remember we were talking about Dick Degener,
right?
He went on to that remember they had like, it was like the this Barnum and Bailey's swim thing,
right?
And they were like anchored this set off the coast of these, it's like a little floating island, and they were like, they had like it was like an opera or like a play or whatever with divers.
All right, so
like,
this video is
all
like
kinds of crazy
1
stuff.
minute long. It's a Universal newsreel, and the title there: Mermaid Champs set records in national swimming.
5,000 fans packed every available inch of space at the Oriental Pool in Brooklyn, New York to watch the 1935 AAU National Swimming and Diving Championships for women. In the 800-meter race, it was Miss Lenore Kite, star of the Carnegie Library Club of Homestead, Pennsylvania. She has been the outstanding women's distance swimmer in the world for the past 2 years, and she led this race from the start to finish, breaking Helene Madison's world record by a fraction of less than 14 seconds. This was her third individual title of the meet, having won the 400 meters and mile earlier. The 3-meter springboard was spectacular, and competitors, including 2-time Olympic medalist Mrs. Dorothy Poynton Hill, earned the continuous applause from the gallery. But it was little Miss Mary Horger, the 11-year-old toe-headed water baby of the Miami Beach Swim Club, who scored a sensational victory, performing the first 2.5 somersault ever seen in women's competition on her final dive. With her victory, she became the youngest ever to win an individual national championship in any sport.
There you go. But that's those were all the women's in not Detroit. But I just thought it was interesting. That is the same year that the things took place. I just thought.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. That
was your voice.
That's okay. We're feeding back there. I gotta stop sharing.
Overshare. But the thing is that you're absolutely right, because back then, like, and then when they had those, there's a play, a movie, and I believe there was 2 of them. It's called Gold Diggers of 1934 and Gold Diggers of 1935. I believe there's 2 of them, and they did it like back to back because the first one was like a hit, and so they did it again. I think that's how it went down. But the performance of this movie was like ridiculous. It was like it took place on a stage. There's like a lot of the story happened in the backgrounds of the stage. They're all trying to get ready for the next show or whatever. And then the shows were like these massive performances with like all the there's like at any one time there'd be 50 or 100 like women dancing and choreographed perfectly, and the men in the top hats and singing it, like just these larger than life, just massive performances. I guess you could say that you have a lot of that like with the concerts and stuff, but like you're right though, like these like the swim meets, and like whenever there's something kind of unusual, that just all these thousands flock to it to watch this thing in the middle of the Great Depression, nonetheless, when people are broke or whatever.
So that was interesting. But Lenore Kite, she went on to take the bronze medal the next year in the Berlin Summer Olympics there, and she ended up passing away in 2000. in Cincinnati, Ohio. So getting close to Michigan, getting close to Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. The look and the thing. Those. It didn't look like a pool, right? Like the Detroit one. And you said that the boat club, right? It's over there on Belle Isle. That's out in the water. These aren't pool. That doesn't look like a pool. That looks like it's part of the lake just roped off. Part of
I know. It looks
Detroit
like they
River
built
roped
something.
off.
And I'm not too familiar with the Detroit Boat Club.
Yeah, that's not there anymore.
Well, they must have. Yeah, they must have been like, I don't know if they did like a I mean, they can't do a temporary pool, did they? It seems like a lot of work. They probably had a pool there.
So you got the boat club and the yacht club on Belle Isle.
Yeah.
And the boat club is in like real disrepair.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've never been.
I actually DJ'd a wedding there.
Oh,
just
really?
like
that's right. I think you did tell me.
Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Well, no, it was before the pandemic. So God, there's a pandemic jump. So probably 4 years ago. Aaron Gay. He was a student teacher with me, and then got married. So DJ my wedding. I'm like, all right. But it's like it's if somebody's going for the Urban Decay look, that was like Urban Decay big time. They hadn't revived it yet. The plan was to revive it, but
I know.
Like
I remember reading about it a while ago that somebody had bought it. They were going to turn it into a casino or something.
Yeah. So there you go. It's on Belle Isle there. If you're in the Metro Detroit area, definitely something to check out. Cool place. And
here's another thing that I'm going to see if we'll see if we can find this postcard.
Yeah.
Because the Belle Isle used to have like one of the coolest things I've ever heard of in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was,
an aquarium.
No, they had like a band shell. They had a band shell.
Oh yeah.
But you could canoe there.
Oh yeah.
And the people would sit. You bring a date there in a canoe.
Oh yeah.
There'd be like 1,000 people in canoes.
Oh yeah.
Sitting there watching a concert or whatever. You just canoe over to the Belle Isle.
I DJ'd a wedding
where they were canoed there.
No, not in the canoe, but
no.
The shack, not the shack, but the building, the structure that was like the canoe rental place. They use that for events. It's a small event. It's a small space.
I'm saying, like, talk about this. Talk about
it was a cool spot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's Detroit,
and it was like, and it's right there on the thing. You can see where they would.
It's one of the things about this. About
they had vintage pictures up of people going out in canoes.
There's a postcard. There's one of those old vintage like pastel looking postcards, and I'm telling you. There was a sense of like community back then, man. Like how cool is that when you can just canoe over to a concert or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, hey, you want to go on a date with me tonight? And you're like, we're gonna canoe over to the band shell on Belle Isle. Like, I mean, it almost makes you break it, shed a tear, because it's like, I mean, that is like one of the coolest things. Like, there's people are going, well, people stopped going to drive-in movies or whatever because you could just watch it at home, I guess. Which that's cool by itself. But like other things, that you can kind of explain why such and such they don't do it anymore.
Right.
But why would you stop? Why did that stop? And it's because this sense of community sort of vanished. Like, you got to somewhat have some trust in people, and there's some kind of like a certain, I don't know, like a certain culture that's, I don't know, man, but that's like one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. I saw this postcard with these people in canoes. Yeah. And they're just going, that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, man.
All right. Yeah.
You canoe over to Belle Isle on Friday night. Yeah.
Is that
that's not the image I saw. There's one where they're actually, it's like a pastel postcard. It's like really colorful. It's like hand drawn, basically.
All right. But that's kind of it. That's the little lake and the people in the canoes and people lining it. And there's a band shell down at the end.
Yeah,
so.
but that's what you do. You'd canoe over and you'd watch a concert with the date or whatever. And I mean, it's just there's so many cool hidden gems from the back in the day for Detroit that it's just like, there's the Boblo boats, and there's so many things that are just, it's almost like a lament that we don't have it. So. Anyways, that's another kind of cool thing, I thought.
All right. Well, there you go. So Detroit Athletic Club, the 3 of our champions there today.
Tack on another 3, and it's debatable if there's a 4th one. We just popped up just in the article somehow. I think I just kind of I just roped them all into 3 total, just because there wasn't a ton of information.
You got Jimmy. You got Jimmy there, and then Tom, and then the team themselves. 3 more champions in the Galaxy I'm like the galaxy of the Detroit City of Champions stars. So I was watching the movie The Wonders. It's like you're like the Playtone galaxy of stars. As I started thinking, it's like, hey, Detroit, we got our galaxy of stars champions.
Oh, okay,
Season,
yeah,
the City of Champions
it's
champion
like-
the galaxy of stars. So that's those are those folks there. All right, cool. People chiming in here. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you. Every comment. Who's chiming in?
Yeah, I always hear Catherine said hi, but there were 4 people.
My little
watching,
sister. Thank you, Catherine. How you doing?
and the other people that are watching. So like, subscribe, leave a comment if you've found us. Keep finding us and liking it, subscribing it, leaving a comment on it. We appreciate all those things every time they happen. DetroitCityOfChampions.com is a website for the books and for merch. Wearingfunny.com has some cool merch on it. What else you got, Charles?
Come see me at the stores.
Stickers and buttons at the store.
Stickers, yeah, we got stickers and buttons from the show at the stores. You know, I got all my stuff there, but we just brought in the stickers and buttons, so you can get all this stuff there. And you can talk about pretty much anything when you come to the store. We got talk about City of Champions. We talk about baseball. We talk about investments, coins, gold, silver,
everything,
stock market, crypto, whatever.
Everything.
If anybody's got one of these days, I want to do a little segment at the end of the show or something where we just like 5-minute like anything. Because I sit there, I talk to people all day about just everything, man. Like I never, there's just always like, it's, I mean, sometimes I've met friends in there that will sit there and we will talk after hours till like midnight or something, to like 3 hours after the mall's closed. Like I just basically talk to, I have a ton of friends, like people that I've just met that just come in the store and we just,
nice.
I mean, I've actually got a chair set up so that people that I've like know they can come sit on and we just talk.
They can sit and really chit chat.
Yeah, so come in and say what's up. That's what we're doing.
All right. So if you want to hear me playing music, Radio Cobra Detroit.
Yeah, get on Jamie's Cobra.
There's a new online streaming if you like the alternative, retro alternative, newer alternative, and things that'll surprise you. Funk, some heavy funk, some Johnson Brothers. Oh yeah. So Radio Cobra Detroit, that's a thing to check out. And thank you so much for joining us. Who else was there? We Cameron. Thanks, Cameron, as well. So
it's my brother, Cameron. Thanks, bro. Love you, kid.
So there you go.
Love my brother and sister. Love you guys. Thanks for chiming in.
All right. So like I said, like, subscribe, leave a comment, all the podcast things and all the podcast places. We'll do it again very, very soon. It's Detroit City of Champions.